The most awaited segment for today is coming up. If you've been with us for a few years now, you will remember that we used to host Feature a Guru segments in 2016 and 17 regularly. But due to the increased number of student requests wanting to perform, we couldn't continue that. But we are bringing back that segment, special segment, for two reasons today. Guru Purnima, as you may know, is coming up Tuesday on July 16. And I wanted to recognize and acknowledge the gurus who spread the joy of music for our children growing up here. May I request all the teachers who impart music to students, please rise up to accept our heartfelt pranams for Guru Purnima. This is our way of giving you. Without you all, the music will not be what it is, and our children. We pray to the Almighty to bless all of you gurus and your families so you can continue to do what you do. The second reason is I wanted to recognize and seek some advice for our students from one of our senior most gurus, our resident Vainika, Srikan, Chary, who's been a guiding light for us from day one. May I please request Srikan, Chary to the stage now, and Mohan, who is going to be hosting this segment. Please give a warm round of welcome.
Namaskara. Glad to have you all here. I'll try to behave myself differently. We have one of the senior most successful gurus in the Bay Area. Of course, she already introduced, but I have to do my part because this is life after this segment. So, last 30 years, through his music school, Nadanidhi, and his performance, he has contributed immensely to this the world of Carnatic music. I can easily say without him, in the Bay Area, the Carnatic music, let alone Veena, will not be as popular as it is today. Thanks Srikan for accepting to play this segment today. Happy to have you.
Thank you, Mohan. Not sure exactly how scared I should be with having Mohan over here throwing questions at me. Never know what to expect, but looking forward to it.
In this segment that the gurus come prepared with their own question. Since we didn't have any on the spot performance today, so we thought we put you on the spot. So we wanted to take questions from the audience, but a lot of time issues and logistics limitations. We already gathered the questions and we are ready for you. We'll try to address, ask as many as possible. Okay. The first one, this question is from Sri from San Jose. How do we balance Tanaka and aesthetics? I'm sure you understand the question, or we can elaborate if you want.
How much time do we have for this?
I said it's 1957 remaining.
It's an excellent question. I think the very, very short answer to that question is our music is actually such a delicate balance between so many things, and everything has to be rendered in the right proportion. Right from the beginning, when you start learning the basics of music, and you start learning plain notes, you start learning gamakams, you're trying to absorb what goes where, what gets implemented, and what's a good balance. Right from there, I would say to address your question about Karnakas and aesthetics, it's not the verses, it's width, right? Because there's a lot of aesthetics in Karnakas. There's a lot of aesthetics outside of Karnakas. How do you balance all this? If I were to ask anybody in the audience over here what they find attractive, what they find appealing about our music, we're going to get so many different answers, right? And that's the beauty of our music. It appeals to so many people on so many different levels, right? We talk to somebody who is totally mesmerized behind the math of it all, the layam, the permutations. It's such a vast field out there, right? Somebody else is totally oblivious to the layam, totally oblivious to the kanakas. They are just totally attracted by the melodic aspects of the music. Right? Somebody else totally attracted by the devotional aspects of the music and the poetry behind the lyrics of these brilliant composers. There's just so many aspects of our music. It's difficult to say you need to do kanakas or you need to stay away from kanakas. Kanakas is a part of our music. Layam is an inherent part of our music. How you present all this in a balanced fashion to not only appeal to the wide audience and what people are expecting, but also to give that music a well-balanced feel. So for example, if you were to ask me in a kacheri, there might be certain days when I perform when I just don't feel like doing kanakas, right? I just get taken into maybe a sabalagu pattern of Kalpana songs. And you listen to the Madhuramani school, for instance. Not too many kanakas, not too many complicated patterns over there. But the way the layam is showcased in Madhuramani sir's music, you wouldn't say this music is devoid of layam. You wouldn't say that the Madhuramani school does not have layam as a strong point, because the layam is just inherent in the way the music comes across. Right? So there are different schools that portray this different ways. So there's actually not a good, simple answer to the question. All I can say is whether you present your music with kanakas or whether you choose to present your music without kanakas, one core aspect of our music is aesthetics. Right? That is never compromised. My guru would tell me when you present something, the layam and the kanakas shouldn't be slapping the audience in their face. Right? It shouldn't be this cut, aggressive delivery. The layam is just in there. It's an inherent part. It's delivered smoothly. It's delivered with aesthetics. Right? Nothing in our music is ever devoid of aesthetics. If you end up doing complicated kanakas, fine, great. But if you end up doing complicated kanakas that compromises the aesthetics, then that is something that needs to be fixed.
Thank you. The kanak always turns me off though, but that's another story.
I think that's a very valid point. I think there's people over here for whom kanaka is a total turn-off. Right? Give me smooth music, I will appreciate it. There are people over here who will say, smooth music is chappa chappa, okay, where's the kanaka, where's the punch? Right? And everybody has a valid point. Right? And as performers, we need to cater to this wide audience. So it's kanakas with aesthetics never to be compromised.
Thank you. The another mom, I suppose, Meera from Milpitas, she didn't mention what instrument her son plays. She says whenever my son practices, she plays the same thing over and over, because once he gets comfortable, that's all he wants to play. So what is your advice? I don't know if he or she is here, but overall, how exactly one should practice?
That's a great question. Repetition is a huge part of our practice. You know, when I teach students and I teach them new material, let's say I have weekly class and I teach on a Saturday. People approach the new material different ways. But the expectation is that the material is learned very shortly after teaching. Right? So if I were to teach on a Saturday, by Sunday or Monday, you should have the material memorized. Right? If you're still memorizing on Friday night, getting ready for a Saturday morning class, where's the time for practice? Right? Practice is completely different from memorization. Right? So if you were to practice, if you were to learn the material over, say, 24 hours, that gives you a good solid 6 days in the week after you memorize the material for constant repetition. Constant repetition, especially for beginners, is the only way to gain familiarity with the content. Right? And we all know this. We all know this in different phases of our life. The more and more you do things and the more of a habit it becomes out much more naturally. Right? So if you If you're a student who's learning the basics, practice those basics over and over again. Yes, people in the house might get really sick and tired of listening to it, but that's not the purpose of it. It's you gaining mastery. If you're a vocalist, it's you gaining that comfort with your voice and what your voice can do. If you're an instrumentalist, it's you gaining mastery with the instrument. The voice is an instrument, so in a sense, we are all instrumentalists. And it's that constant practice that needs to occur. Now, there's definitely different ways of practicing and different things that you should emphasize and make sure you concentrate on. And that depends on the level of the student and where you are. So as you're learning your basic lessons, constant repetition. As you're getting a little bit more into, let's say, kritis and manodharma, the practicing it becomes a huge issue, right? Because you've been learning, you've built up your repertoire. It's definitely not possible to kind of go through your entire repertoire within, say, a week's period of time. You've learned, a few dozen varnams, a few dozen kritis. How do you keep track of all that and keep those in solid practice? I have to give credit to my mother. As I was growing up, she was extremely disciplined, and she actually had these giant tables and very complicated structures of how I should practice and what I should be doing, and very, very effective and efficient practice within a short period of time. Within this time, here this is, you're going to practice your alankarams in 3 speeds. You're going to go from the mandarasthai panchamam to the tarasthai panchamam. You're going to do this. You're going to do these following talams of the alankarams and so on. So now once you finish that, you're going to do these 2 varnams in 2 speeds. You're going to do these kritis. And she had this whole thing, completely tabulated and worked out. And I have to give her credit for that, because as growing up as a child, of course, I grumbled about this, as we all do. I used to fight, I used to rebel against that. But, I have to give credit. That's where the discipline comes from. And that's the discipline it takes. So, the parents out there work with the gurus. The gurus probably have a very good idea of what that child needs to work on and where their areas of improvement are. And they would love to have a conversation with you if you approach them and say, what should my child be focusing on this week? What are the areas of practice? And yes, constant repetition. The child is there, the child can deliver, but they need a system with both the gurus and the parents kind of collaborating to figure out how to get that potential out of that child. So practice for each person is going to be different. We are all very busy. We have short periods of time. But believe me, with short periods of time, you can make 5 minutes of practice so intense if you approach it with the right attitude. And I'm sure your guru can tell you exactly, if you have 5 minutes every day, I've had these conversations with my students, if you have just 5 minutes a day, this is what I suggest you do with those 5 minutes. And you will see a remarkable amount of progress in that.
Okay, thank you. Many have written, I don't know, it's a question of compliance. Is CCC attendance policy a good one? Why should student attend CCC every month?
Of course it's a good one. CCC is our family, right? And it's our music family. There are several reasons I can think why students should attend CCC events. And Mohan, I hope that's the right answer, that they should attend CCC. Okay.
Thank you.
There's music. Okay, let's start with the music aspects of it. Our children over here grow up in this atmosphere, right? They listen to this music on a monthly basis over here for 3 hours a month. They listen to this music, right? It becomes part of their normalcy. It becomes part of their environment. It's not a foreign concept. And I must say this, I've been teaching for 30 years. If I look back at what the Bay Area was 30 years ago, it was completely different, right? As young students learning music, children were isolated. They didn't feel like their friends learned music. They felt like they were doing something kind of odd and awkward that they couldn't share with their friends. Today we're in a very different situation. Organizations like CCC provide that infrastructure, so you have those interactions. This is part of normal life, right? if you were to look at music and the part of music in anybody's life, music is not something you do separately. Music is something you are, right? Music is part of you. There are various activities that you can do, and you can do in isolation and come back to your regular life, right? Music is not that. Our music is something completely different. It is something that consumes you, right? And if you're not ready to be consumed by our music, you're probably in the wrong place. This is not something you can delve into and dip your toes into the water and say, that's enough. Right? We need an environment where this becomes natural, this becomes part of our daily life. Right? You listen to music as part of your daily life. You talk about music as part of your daily life. You live and you breathe music. And I tell my students who are going to start, I say, this is the expectation. This is what you're stepping into. If you think that this is not the right move, don't commit to it. Because this is going to be your life. This is going to be your family's life. And that's what our music is. And if you're not quite ready to make that step, that's fine. It's not for you. Right? But if you are in there just to do a little bit here and there, it's probably not the right move. So, I'm sorry, Mohan, I forgot what the original question was. I started rambling.
No, don't worry, even I forgot. No, sorry, thank you. So, this is a question, Mohan from Fremont. See, you have a full-time job and you teach music. Again, teaching music, I personally think is not just a teaching alone, it's almost like a lifestyle. Meaning you're always thinking of your students, how we can bring her up to the next level, and constantly you're going to be thinking about them, and you're teaching and you're also performing. So how do you balance your time and your life? Of course, I forgot to mention that you're a husband and parent as well.
We all have only 24 hours in a day, and we all do the best that we can given that time. Right? For me, music is not something that I choose and carve out a certain number of hours a day for. Right? It's something that I pretty much do 24/7. My thoughts, whether I'm on the way to work or sometimes even as they wander off in the middle of a business meeting, unfortunately, in some cases, are about music. I suddenly get this thing about, oh, you know what? I should teach that student that song because you know what? That's really going to firm up that part of it. Or you know what? That person, I should do this, and they'll be ready to start monotone. Just odd thoughts like that keep coming. And I'll be talking to Viji, and every now and then, we talk about the students a lot. So she's always saying, what about this student? You haven't talked about them in some time. What do you think they're doing? What do you think their interests are and where they're going? So this becomes a family conversation, right? And my kids, as they were growing up, grew up in a household where we talked about music, jokes were about music, we listened to music, and everything was a music analogy. Well, actually, in Rishikesh's case, it was either a music analogy or a cricket analogy. That's how I usually made things kind of sensible to him. But this is part of life. This is what you do, and what we do with our 24 hours a day is our decision to prioritize. Right? We make conscious choices as to where we're going to spend time. And I think it's worthwhile for us to think a little bit about, say, what does this get me? Right? Am I advancing myself? Am I making progress and making myself a better person with this time that I spend on this? Am I deriving joy from my activity? Right? And that's what that's not a direct answer to the question, but the answer is you do. You do juggle, you do combine everything because that's what makes you a person, right? We all juggle activities, but they are all activities that define us as people, right? And we don't necessarily think of it as, I need to choose this, I need to choose that. It's what makes us a complete person.
Thank you, but definitely the answer, I'm looking at all the music students here. they should take the teacher's time for granted. I know many kids, oh, I have a class tomorrow morning, let me get up and practice now, just before the class. So definitely they will appreciate there are so many other things going on in your life, and you take your time to teach the kid whatever you are teaching them Veena or whatever they are learning from. So the underlying message is for the kids is, okay, you know how much they should appreciate the teacher's time and the effort and all the time they spend on you. Thanks, Tim, definitely very much.
That's a two-way street, right? I definitely what you're saying is true. Make sure you do your job before you walk into the class. But in terms of prioritizing, why do I teach, right? And you're saying you spend all this time teaching, you're doing such a great service, etc., etc. From my perspective, I look at teaching for two reasons, right? One is I saw what my gurus did for me and with me. And I think I owe the field, and I think I owe my gurus. I need to pass on that knowledge and that passion to the next generation, right? Because that's what they did with me. If they hadn't taken the time to do that with me, my life wouldn't be what it is today, right? So that's the first reason. Secondly, while teaching, I derive joy, right? I derive some joy in imparting that knowledge and seeing that student with that spark in their eye when they suddenly catch something and they're able to deliver, right? And as a teacher, and I'm sure this goes for all the eminent gurus sitting here in the front row, that kind of joy is not describable, right? When your student suddenly catches on to something and is able to deliver and finds happiness in that, that is truly what makes you happy as a guru. When they go on, and that could be as simple as sitting in a class and suddenly say, I get it now, and their eyes just sparkle. Or it could be when they deliver on stage and they come back to you and say, I didn't think I could do it, but I did, right? Those moments are what keep you going.
Thank you. And I think we are almost coming to the end of this segment. Thank you so very much, not just for today, thank you so very much for all your unconditional support, right from the day one to the CCC. Your support is one of the things that all the committee members in CCC agree, even though we are just two. So thanks so much. And congratulations on your 30th anniversary and your school. I know the celebrations are up in the corner, so if you want anything, share with us what's it all about.
Sure. So yes, I started teaching Veena in the Bay Area in 1989. So it has been 30 years since I've been teaching Veena over here. And it's been an incredible journey and a very rewarding journey. A lot of people that I really need to acknowledge to have guided me and support me through this journey. Our Nadanidhi school is conducting a performance event on Saturday, August 3rd at Aloni College, and I invite all of you. I will definitely make sure that I send an invitation through Padma and through CCC. We would love to see you there. We've picked the theme of Rama Bhakti, and we're focusing on Saint Tyagaraja's compositions on his kritis on Lord Rama, and the way he expresses different kinds of devotion, different moods in Navadvita Bhakti, but even building on that, even going beyond that, to show the beauty of the emotion of our music, how that emotion and bhakti is translated into kritis and forming a wholesome description of that. So if you're curious as to how an instrumental school can describe lyrical beauty and bhakti elements, please do come. Please do come, and we'd love to see you there. August 3rd, Saturday, afternoon at 3 o'clock.
Yeah, very good. Congratulations on the another milestone. Wishing you very many more like that. Thanks, Srikan. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Srikan said he did not need a bio because it's our own family, just like he mentioned. So we did not read a big bio. But just want to say that he's one of the most, hands down, one of the most knowledgeable, incredible musician and a down-to-earth, most approachable person that I've reached out to for every single one of our key initiatives from day one of CCC for more than 10 years now. And a heartfelt thanks to you, Srikan, for coming through for us every time we reach out. And all the best for the event too.